microphone.
I'm telling you, brother.
So where are the schools? Where are the roads? Where are the jobs that they say they could afford? But they're too selfish. The people tired with their rhetoric.
People tired, they tired.
You see the reason why we ask why the government betray. They have enough of time, but yeah, then stay they delay. People suffer. No work, but people crying for hunger.
Look at.
Your vision and your mission, your intention to the nation, they poor. You got nothing to show.
Nothing.
So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. They lie. The people fool us. The people lapse us. The government betray us. They betray us so much.
Hello? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Hello? I don't have any sound. Nope. I can't hear you, Isaac. It's on your end. I know I got sound. Can you hear me? Well, your sound is dead. You need to change your microphone and sound source. Do you want to just reboot and start over? Hey, that's not what I want.
Can you hear me? Okay. Folks, we are very sorry, or I'm sorry, because this is on me, on my computer. So I have no idea what's going on.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly from my phone.
All right, great.
So for those who are disappointed and not watching, again, my apology. But we'll try to share this as widely as possible after the show. So those who are interested can be able to see. All
right.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. So George, how you been?
Yes.
How are you doing?
I've been great. I'm doing great. I'm always doing great. I'm always doing great. Business is keeping me pretty busy, and we're making a lot of progress.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So my question here to you, for our audience today, I want to say hi to them. You can see I got some flowers around here. But how does all the negative stuff, especially the corruption, how does it affect development? That's what I want to touch on today, because we just get so much stuff about corruption, and it seems like nothing is really being done. Audits upon audits, news upon news, but we just cannot make progress with corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Some people feel it's the most significant challenge to development. Other people feel it's capacity. But it's not like we don't have some people who have the capacity, in some cases, who are very corrupt.
Look,
so where do we put this?
Again, you're not going to stop corruption if you don't have a way to stop it. I said this to somebody from the United Nations the other day, UNDP. You guys give us all of this money, and then you complain that the money's stolen. You've never put in the infrastructure to make sure that the money doesn't get stolen.
So should that be on them or should it be on us? Because they have
It should be on both. If I'm giving you money to spend and I want an accounting of the money that I'm giving you to spend, shouldn't I ask you, or shouldn't I make sure that you have a way to, account for the money? Meaning, Isaac, I am just.
But to what level can they go? They have called.
They can go if I'm giving you money to wipe the snot off out of your nose, I should be able to tell you what tissue to buy.
And in some cases, people say it happened, right? But when you tell me that tissue to buy, and I go buy the tissue, and I go get sandpaper or old newspaper instead, or that tissue, then what?
But because then I don't have an accounting system to say, show me the tissue you bought.
Oh no, you do have it. Look at the situation with the Ministry of Health. They challenged all those claims and they found they were bogus. They went back and checked. The receipts submitted, the dates they were submitted, the persons who reported that they went to certain conferences, all of that.
Mm-hmm. And so my question is, what systems do we have in place to make sure that those expenditures are made according to what they are designed for? So let me give you an example. In the 1990s, around 1996, I worked for the Federal Railway Administration.
Right.
And we were building up, I was building a procurement requisition system for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And essentially, there were different people who had to do different things in the process.
Right.
So the person in the department who was requesting, say, I want 5 tires,
Mm-hmm.
they will send it to the procurement officer. The procurement officer had they would send it to their supervisor. All right. And at this point, we're just implementing electronic signatures. So I would then send a request for 5 tires, but first I would send it to budget.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the budget would say, do you have enough money to buy 5 tires?
Right.
The budget would send the request back and they would say yes. And so I would fill it out and I would sign it. And I will send it to my supervisor. My supervisor will then approve and sign it. Once the supervisor signed that, I couldn't change anything. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
At his level. The only way for me to change it is if he unsigned the document and released my signature. From there, it would go to procurement.
Okay.
Procurement will then say, okay, you have the budget for 5 tires and we're going to sign off on it. They will then send a request to the vendor for 5 tires. But as soon as procurement approves that requisition,
Mm-hmm.
then the requisition now gets sent to receiving. Somebody requested 5 tires. It was approved. Procurement has ordered the tires, and now procurement is now sending something to receiving and say, we expect 5 tires. At every step of the way, when procurement sends it to receiving, they sign that there are 5 tires that were ordered.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
When receiving gets it, they have to check that they receive 5 tires. But here's what we're looking at. There's a long way from the person who made the original request to those tires arriving in the warehouse.
Right.
The person who is receiving the tires is not the person who requested them.
And that's fine.
Okay? So here's the deal. If the person who's receiving the tires, who requested the tires, is the same person who has to procure the tires, and then they're the same person who has to receive the tires, you see where that whole system can fall apart?
No, but that's not the case, though. They have different people. But this person here, the comment on the screen makes a point, right? The person says that's because there's corruption on both sides. And in this case, I believe they're talking about the international community and we, the Liberians, who are receiving the funds. But even if we exclude the international community funds, even though that's the topic right now, and I think the fact that people can collude in the system and collaborate on stealing makes it possible. That's why to a lot of ministries and agencies, when you see these guys move around, they have their own controller that they move with.
Exactly. So my thing is, there's a syndicate
It is a syndicate.
within the government.
Yes.
Okay, and that syndicate only functions because we don't have those systems. People are keeping records on Excel spreadsheets. In the case of the UN people, what systemic documentation did they provide? They brought receipts that were written on pieces of paper.
True.
They brought Excel spreadsheets that they could have put together at any time.
Right.
There was nothing systemic about it.
And so again, you know,
so when people can collude easily when there's not a system for them to put this thing in that they can't change.
But that's the thing, George, because like even all the grants I have written for a lot of different people, a lot of different, when we write those grants, they demand an explanation of our financial system.
Right.
And you can lay that out. It can look so appealing, but the actual implementation, when it comes to that, it's a whole different ball game. And I think that's what we are facing. Is like,
look,
I think it's on the punitive side that we don't like do something about these people.
Look, here's the thing, okay, Isaac.
Yeah.
I was involved in trying to lay the groundwork for what GMAP was supposed to be. The whole premise of GMAP was based on this integrated financial management system.
Right, IFMIS.
It has never been implemented. It has never been implemented.
So what?
Hold on. Integrated financial management system. They have something.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
But every ministry should have access to and use that same system.
Agree.
Okay? Every agency should have access to and use that same system. So then explain to me why some agencies are using QuickBooks.
Again, there's probably nobody who is demanding compliance.
But so guess, and you know why we're not demanding compliance?
To be exceptional.
Because there's a syndicate in the government. Okay? Look, I saw this thing way back in 2007 when I went to Liberia. This is what was happening at the Freeport. Because I went in there for a week and observed their processes. Their quote unquote computer office would sit down and put in everybody's name on an Excel spreadsheet. And they would total it. They would take it to the controller. Boss man, the total payroll is $275,000. The controller would then write himself a check to the central bank and go and get $275,000 in cash.
That's the only place in the world probably right now where people can get cash let out from the window.
Okay. Bring the cash back and then stand up and pay everybody. Okay. So I asked him, I said, so how do you know if somebody didn't get paid? All right. When I left there,
right person didn't get paid.
But here's how it works. So after we've paid everybody who was present, then everybody who we accounted for on the paper, all of that money that was left over, we're not taking it back to the central bank. We're just gonna go divide it.
Yep.
Okay. And I left there and I immediately went to Amara Konde and I said, listen, you guys have to do something about this because it's not supposed to work like this way. You got to figure out a way for the people to write checks to every individual. Okay? And let the central bank send a pay officer here to hand the people the checks.
Yeah.
Whoever doesn't pick up the check, the person's not on a payroll. Okay? I was at Public Works.
But the government recently claimed they handled that, right? They got.
Hold on, I was at Public Works because my cousin Willis Knuckles was the designated minister.
Mm-hmm.
I'm observing their processes. Well, first I was at the mansion and observing their processes with Connie. And people came to get paid. I went to Public Works that afternoon. And one of the guys who got paid at the mansion was there to get paid at Public Works.
Mm.
And he came to me, dry face, and said, boss man, you know that you're my hustle. And I'm like, no, but you work for the government. You can't work for two government ministries and get two different checks.
Not supposed
But
to.
who knows how long he had been doing it? Listen, there is nothing we can do about corruption. There's absolutely nothing we can do about it if we don't put the systems in place.
So the condition is to put the system in place. It's not the kind.
I don't care about, listen, don't tell me that you're putting somebody there because they are honest. Okay? Jesus Christ picked 12 guys. And he said, you guys will be the 12. Right?
One of them betraying. Yeah.
That I'm going to trust. One of them, this is my man, will give you 30 pieces of silver. He said, "Yo, bring it, I will tell you who that guy is." Just think about it. So if you were looking at this as an enterprise, at Christianity as an enterprise,
that is corrupt.
okay?
The corrupt who right there.
My point is, people, human beings, when left to their own devices, if they cannot be caught, or if they believe they will never be caught, they will take advantage of the system. And that's what's going on here. Okay? What do? You look at the situation at the airport with the guy who they appointed. Why do you think they appointed him?
To make it easy for them to steal.
They appointed him because he's a numbskull. He knows nothing about financial operations or anything like that. But they're going to the international community and saying, we need $23 million. Guess who now has to sign off on all of the financial requests to draw down on that $23 million?
The numbskull.
This numbskull who knows nothing about financial management. And as long as they tell him, everything you sign, you will get $1,000, you will get $2,500, he's going to take it.
Gee.
So them just appointing him tells you that the reason for appointing him is because they know this money's coming in. This guy has no future out of Liberia, because if he was a real professional, okay, he would not want to leave RIA and have this air of corruption hanging over him.
Right.
Because anybody who tried to hire him in the international community, they would do the due diligence.
Do a simple search.
Right. So he doesn't care. But the purpose for the people who hired him is there's $23 million coming and we need to get some of it.
Well, I don't want you to limit this to somebody who may not know what they know. Like, this guy doesn't have the credential. There are credentialed people who will accept that because of greed and because they naturally...
Because they can get away with it. Because, again, but if you really... So we look at the situation at the airport and how dire it is. And my contention is it's not going to end until there's a plane crash and hundreds of people die. It's not going to end. Because if, I just said this to somebody this morning. I said, I supported Ellen and I was highly critical of her. And I never thought I would have to say this.
That's somebody worse.
But these guys are so inept. Okay? They're so incompetent that you make me wish that Ellen was running the airport again.
That's a fact, though. That's a fact. As much as I, too, was a strong critic of Ellen, it seemed like all the issues were identified, all the errors. They look at it and say, how can we make this worse? Or how to one over the level of corruption and the impunity that is being done with is what's astounding.
So now you have the flight from Atlanta. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
There's a flight from Atlanta that they had to have the passengers disembark because the airport, SN Brussels, was not going to be able to connect to Liberia on their connecting flight from Delta.
When was this? Recent?
This was recent. Hold on.
Wow.
Yeah. They had to have the passengers disembark.
And probably it had to happen after the John Brownell thing?
Yes, it was after John Brownell.
Oh, but then, yeah, because the people probably felt if they come to Liberia because they dropped folks in Ivory Coast first.
But they were not going to be able to get there before the airport closed. But then the other thing was there's a second one about there being no fuel in Liberia.
Yes, that's what I was going to talk about. Because there's no jet fuel. They probably don't have adequate quantity or whatever. So the flight stops in Ivory Coast first before it comes to Liberia. So when they pick up passengers, that's where it refuels. So since they can't refuel, they had to go back to Ivory Coast. That's where they made the announcement that, we just left Ivory Coast, but we got to stop back in Ivory Coast to,
to top off our fuel.
To top off our fuel before we hit the national airway.
So let's look at all of the problems that have cascaded around this airport. We had a situation where they were putting water in the fuel, right?
Yep.
We had that situation.
How risky is that? Did any hair roll for that?
It will cause that it's not just risky, because right now, there are a group of pilots who are threatening to sue Cessna because on one of Cessna's planes that has had a lot of problems, one of the smaller planes, they have had issues with water collecting in the tank.
Wow. And
it's forcing the planes to stall. And every time that they brought up the case, the NTSB would say, we didn't find anything. And one pilot actually did a test, and he showed that the water...
That's for those who don't know, NTSB is the U.S. National Transportation Safety Bureau, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So, so now they're trying to figure out, this is it's a defect. It's a manufacturing defect that allows water to collect in the tank. And what happens is, if the engine stalls, then you just don't have power.
Basically.
So basically what the guys in Liberia were doing is, let's say the plane takes 50,000 gallons. Okay? And you get paid $5 a gallon.
Right.
Okay? So that's $250,000 that you would make. But suppose you can swap out 2,000 gallons with water. You would make $10,000.
Yes.
Because you didn't sell 250,000 gallons.
No.
You only sold 240, but you billed them for 250.
Yep.
Okay? So you look at these kinds of risks that we're willing to take for our greed and corruption. Now we get to the point where, there's no fuel. How do you run an international airport and fuel is not a priority? So I'm of the position, and maybe other Liberians can help me out. The country is so effed up that maybe we only need one flight a month.
But it's beyond that. Even if you get that one.
Listen, until it gets serious enough to inconvenience people, we will never take it seriously.
I agree with that, because a lot of things really don't affect people. Let's say with regards to the rural fund. I don't know what has really happened with the rural fund, right? It was going to be 53 million. Supposedly they gave only 28 million to the rural fund crew with Boniface Satu, and the government is holding the other 25 for whatever reason. Nobody knows. Some people say maybe they just like the number 25 million. I don't know, but that needs to be an explanation, because I don't know if you saw the response from the rural fund folks in terms of the explanation to what happened with the funds and what they're expecting from the government. Let me try to find it, because it's very interesting. It just sits right in the lap of the Ministry of Finance. And that is a very, very bad reflection, that now it's not the donors' money. It's Liberian people paying that money for the road to ensure that our country, the roads are maintained, the little bar roads and stuff are fixed. So let me see if I can share from my computer, because I definitely cannot share from my screen. Okay, looks like I can. Let me go to the window. And there we go. So I know you can see this. This is the story. And they say the management of the National Rural Fund provided a below response to the GSC after the GSC did the audit. They said an NRF, which is the National Rural Fund, brought to the attention of the Minister of Finance and the IMSC the issue of all fuel levies be remitted to the NRF accounts, not through the consolidated accounts, to avoid interference with the fund flow and to avoid delay in payments to contractors and suppliers for road-related maintenance works. The MCC, MCAL, whatever that acronym is, made the issue of fund flow, the Millennium Compact, I believe, as one of the paramount condition precedents. The non-adherence to this condition precedent by the MFDP caused NRF to lose, believe they made, the matching fund of 15 million that was earmarked to the road sector. So that's an opportunity lost right there. We hope this audit report will make, they say made, sick, a resounding demand for the government of Liberia to see reasons to allow fuel levies and other road charges collected by the LRA be directly remitted to the NRF accounts, not through the GOL consolidated account. So we see there's no confidence that the government of Liberia will even follow basic stipulations regarding financing, regarding funding, regarding money, regarding paying out dedicated.
Who is supposed to provide oversight?
It's the GSC, I guess.
And the legislature.
Yeah, the legislature. Okay, high level oversight. Yes, it's the legislature. So people have already called the legislature to call these guys to book and to ask them what is happening with the road fund. Why is the road fund agency not getting, the National Road Fund not getting the monies they're supposed to get? But then again, some of these guys, they are compromised. These lawmakers themselves, look at the budget. The budget is a campaign budget, basically giving the executive anything they want, plus a little fat on top of what the fattened legislators are already getting as salaries and benefits and everything else. So this is a mess.
And, I don't know how to fix it outside the system. I don't care for honest people. I don't. All right?
I agree. System.
I care for systems that impose honesty.
Yes, but at the same time, those systems that impose honesty, George, you can finger those systems. We got people.
Yeah, but guess what? You know why you can't? You know why it's difficult to do it?
It's difficult to do, but it can be done. So just the fact,
right? But here's the thing:
we need punishment. We need people to
get
punished.
You just hit it on the head. Okay, we have had several cases in Liberia where when the evidence was presented, it was not presented in a manner that was irrefutable. And the court just said, well, you know, we don't know anything about that. You understand?
But
So
we know, George, wasn't there a case one time where the government lawyers even refused to go to court and they had to drop their corruption case?
correct.
So
Again,
so it's like the criminal is at all levels.
But here's the bigger problem for us.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're seeing all of these things snowballing, right?
Yeah.
So my question then becomes, what is the likelihood that Mr. Weah and his gang would submit themselves to a free and fair election, knowing all of these things that are going on?
But George, some people have said there is no that they said
because any responsible government that takes over would demand an audit.
Yes.
Of this government.
And Mr. Cummings has said that. Mr. Gonglo has said that. I believe even Boyka has said it. You know.
And anybody, but you know what? I don't have any confidence in Boyka. I don't.
Let's leave Boyka off. Let's leave him off.
Okay. Whoever is not willing to commit as their very first act as president to have a full and complete audit of the government, I'm not interested in hearing anything from them beyond that they want to be president. I just am not.
I agree with you. I totally agree.
Okay. So my point is, knowing this, why do you think these guys are going to give anything up? Here's what I got to tell you. You know, one of the things about Liberians is we have a certain arrogance in our stupidity. Okay? But then stupid people are always arrogant. That's why they're stupid. Okay? So, for example, these people think that they can have access to money, they can have access to funds, and only they know where that money, where those money and funds are going.
And they have to spend it. That's the stupid thing. That's the real. Okay.
So let me tell you a little story. You know all this thing about Bitcoin and crypto and all of that nonsense?
Right.
The entire premise behind Bitcoin and crypto is that the government will not know what you're doing. You put your money in Bitcoin and you put it in crypto, and there's no way for the government to know. So there's a couple that pulled off a Bitcoin heist about 2-3 years ago.
Right.
And they stole $36 billion in Bitcoin.
Jeez.
The government was able to find every last transaction they did. Why am I telling you this? Okay. Vladimir Putin has tried to hide his money. He's tried to buy yachts and put it in other people's name, and they know. There is not a single dime that is moved in the world that the United States government doesn't know where it's moved to. If you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you.
But
so here's what we have to do.
Electronic, it can be tracked. What are people talking about?
Here's what we have to do. We have to, if the people in Liberia are tired suffering, because if they're not tired suffering, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, they will keep at us.
Okay. If they are tired suffering, then it's time for them to go to the benefactors of Liberia and say, listen, we need to, it's not just enough to tell us we are corrupt. We need you to use your resources to identify where this money is going.
All right. So, okay, so that's a different spin, because I thought your coming say they should try to impose sanctions, because some people.
Well, no, that's a part of the whole thing too.
Some people are saying, so why
it's the whole spectrum.
Okay, so some people are saying, oh, if George Famble wants for them to impose sanctions on Liberia, I mean, he hit Liberia, he's not patriotic, he hates we are. I mean, how do you address that kind of thinking?
Well, I don't know we are. I don't know we are.
Thank you.
I've never met we are.
But
I have no reason to hate we are.
According to them, you hate him. That's the word.
Well, here's the thing.
They try to run.
So you know what my position is? Then you're not tired of suffering.
And that's what I wrote the other day.
You're not tired suffering. And as long as you're not tired suffering, my position is suffer as long as you want.
As more. Because for me, this struggle is up to January 2024. If the Liberian people make their decision for the past, that's up to them. That is boycott. If they make it for the present suffering, that George Weah, is up to them. If they want to have even a hope of a chance of a better future, and they make it for Elizano Cummings, then I will still stay engaged. But that's it. You can't keep crying for the bereaved. It didn't say not crying. At some point, the burial will happen, and people will go home. That bereaved will be there in a house thinking about who died. So it got to get to that point for the Liberian people.
It has to.
At some point.
It has to be painful enough for them to want to remove the pain. So let me just jump into something real quick. I think you sent me this morning some nonsense that Sam Jackson wrote about War Crimes Tribunal. You know, let me just tell you something, okay?
Jackson is the certified idiot these days or something.
Sam Jackson is a despicable person. And I know Sam, and I consider him a friend. But he is a despicable opportunist. For Sam Jackson to say that we should not have a war crimes tribunal because the victims have already moved on.
That is just so stupid. I don't know what's saying.
But so it's like me saying to you, you don't need to buy 2 pairs of shoes. I mean, you don't need to buy shoes with 2 feet. You know why? Because I already cut off one of your feet. So that's basically what Sam is saying. The victims of the war crimes, there are 250,000 of them who are dead.
He spoke to all of them. He spoke to all their family members. He went and interviewed them, and they told him.
But it doesn't matter. Listen. Okay, but here's my thing.
No, but I had reasoning, so we got to destroy his reasoning first before we come.
Okay, but the reasoning behind a trial, it's not for the people who are living.
No, it's for the rule of law and to prevent.
It's for the actual victims. The relatives are not the actual victims.
Great point. Great point.
Okay? The relatives are not the actual victims.
It's the rule of law. You violated the law. You broke the law. You killed those
When
people.
somebody is murdered, the trial is not so their mother can feel good.
No.
Okay? It is unlawful to deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process.
Fact.
And it's not any person's parents, it's not any person's cousins, it's not any person's friends. It's the person who is the victim. So for Sam Jackson to even try to represent that the victims have moved on, it's idiotic and it's repulsive. But let's get to why would somebody of Sam Jackson's stature be pushing a line like this?
Money.
Because he knows that the minute they say war crimes tribunal, they're coming for Prince Johnson's ass. And so this that Sam Jackson has written is a trial balloon. Okay? Now he's going to turn around and go to Prince Johnson and say, my man, hey, I'll fight for you. They're coming for your ass. He can't do a damn thing for you. So Augustus Lipowo, who says I'm stupid if I'm talking about Buckeye like that. Augustus, let me ask you a question. How long was Joseph Buckeye vice president of Liberia?
Hey, Augustus, if you're listening and you want to come on the show, feel free, because we be discussions. So you can come
Let
on the
him
show.
answer me how long Joseph Buckeye was vice president of Liberia. Because the people who currently support WIA, part of their complaint is that there were no systems there when they took over.
True.
Okay? If there were no systems there and Joseph Buckeye was vice president of Liberia for 12 years,
you
can't make the case that entrusting him with the presidency for 6 more years, he would do what he didn't do when he was vice president.
And especially when he was 6 years younger. I don't even understand the rationale of those who are pushing Joseph Boycott, because his popularity would not exceed George Weah's popularity. This decision for 2023 has to be a rational and intentional decision by Liberian people.
What is the population demographic from age of the population from 18 to 40 in Liberia?
From 18 to 40, I won't say.
I will tell you in a minute. I can look it up.
I can look at my spreadsheet too. We got a projected up to 23.
Let's just look at Liberia population pyramid.
I can tell you. You said from 18 to what?
As of 2019. Okay.
The 18 to 40 is 2 million, like I said, 1.948 million if I go by my spreadsheet.
So that's almost 40% of the population.
Yes, because we have about 5 million.
Okay. So about 40% of the population will just be reaching their prime in the next 10 to 20 years.
True.
You have to ask yourself, one of the things that Liberians would say, well, Joe Biden, president of America. That's the thing. Okay? But I will get to that.
No, let's take that.
Who was
Joe Biden vice president to?
Okay. He was vice president to a much younger man.
Thank you.
Okay.
And successful from an economic standpoint for America.
But I was just explaining to somebody today. As a matter of fact, I was not explaining to somebody. I was telling Elon Musk on Twitter that he owes his wealth to Barack Obama.
Well, a question. When did he boom?
Okay. His company was failing, literally failing, and they were going to shut down when the Obama Energy Department decided to loan him $450 million.
Right, because they were pushing the whole solar thing.
The whole solar thing.
Renewable energy.
So what it took was a president who had a vision that said, and if you're familiar with that, with this whole renewable energy push, there was a company called Solyndra. Okay, and I would tell you, there was a company called Solyndra that was doing the same type of renewable energy. The government lost $535 million on that company. And people dragged Obama about it. But the idea was, we have to make these investments for the future.
Yes.
Okay? Not all of them will pass. But the ones that will be successful will be so spectacularly successful. So in 15 years, Elon Musk went from running a company that was literally getting ready to shut down to the point now where he is the wealthiest person in the world.
And the government at that time, not only him though, they invested $40 billion into that.
But here's the thing: not only did they lend him the money to build the cars, they gave tax credits to people to lower the price of the cars to make them as competitive as the internal combustion engine cars.
Yes.
They gave tax credits for solar. Yes. They passed a law that if you put solar on your home and you generate more electricity than you consume, the power company has to buy your excess electricity.
Right. And it has made an impact.
It has made a significant impact. But the point,
carbon pollution, and
the point here is it took vision. And it took vision of a young president, to want to see that happening. But here's the thing with Joe Biden is old and he's president of the United States. There is an infrastructure, there is a mechanism of government here.
Right. Physical and metaphysical structure in government.
And you don't have that in Liberia.
Hell no.
And my point is, for the 12 years Joe Biden, what is his name?
Joe Boycott.
Joe Boycott was president. He didn't build that infrastructure.
No, but
the infrastructure isn't there now. But so you're telling me that if he becomes president, he's going to build that same infrastructure? You cannot give me a reason for why it wasn't built. Don't tell me that Joseph Boakai, he was the vice president, so he couldn't do anything.
That's their excuse.
Okay? Because then he should not have signed on to be vice president.
And even if you agree with that, George, he still had that simple Group of 77 program that he was running. Where is it? Okay. How did he improve the lives of the handicapped people? Just make it simple. So, the people who really
listen. We can't keep trying the same thing over and over and over.
No, we can't. We can't.
We can't. Okay? You are telling me, you are literally telling me that in a 24-year period, we should go from Joseph Boakai as VP, George Weah as president, and then Joseph Boakai again.
What sense that makes? That is scary.
In a 24-year period.
That is crazy.
I mean, if Kai Kai Fele, Augustus Lupowo, if this is how you people feel, then you don't care about your future. And let me tell you something. If you don't care about your future, neither should I.
And that's why I'm saying this, my last hurrah behind this thing. It's not going to work if people don't have that self-motivation to say, look.
Because long story short, nothing that happens in Liberia is going to change my life.
Fact.
Nothing. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be crude. I'm not trying to be boastful. My commitment to Liberia is the commitment that you Liberians have to Liberia. And to the extent that you have that commitment, I will support that commitment. But if you don't have that commitment, I'll go lay down my yellow sofa right there.
And I was about to compliment that living room, man. That is very contemporary. It's nice.
It is. It is. So, this sofa set is actually 25 years old.
You see? If you are in Liberia with all the dust, none of that thing would be white.
No. So let me tell you, it's 25 years old. What happened was I was in Maryland and I went to a furniture store in Maryland and I saw this. I saw this in black and white. And when I came back to Arizona, I went to a contemporary furniture store and showed the guy the picture. He said, yes, we can order it for you. And 1998, they ordered it for me. It took about 3 months for it to come. When it came, it was so unique that as it was sitting to be delivered, somebody offered me twice the price for it. And I was like, no, I ordered it for a reason. So we got it. And what happened is we had a dog. Okay. And the dog has scratched up the the cushions and all of that. I got somebody in, and they reupholstered it.
Wow.
They got the matching leather and everything. So at the end of the day, it's a nice, beautiful conversation piece, and it's just one of those things that's so unique that, you know, I'm like,
anybody who enters that thing and understands decor will make a comment. It is a
they
conversation.
will make a comment. So,
Nice.
you know, I mean, we don't even sit in it. It's just there because it's actually an art piece that blends in with the furniture. But, you know, long story short, Liberians have to understand and they have to take ownership of their future.
But George, the thing I wrote is kind of simple. If to go pee-pee, you got to go outside. To go toilet, you got to go outside. To get water, you got to go outside. Basically, everything you want to do, to cook, you got to go outside. For majority of the population. If those basic things you can do indoors, wherever, luckily we don't have snow in Liberia. If we have snow, people will really die.
Yep.
If we have snow, people will die. And I hope climate change will not get to that point where our climate will change so drastically we'll get snow.
The climate change won't get to it in terms of snow, but what we will suffer from is sea level rise and erosion.
But we're already suffering from sea erosion. People are crying all over. I mean,
you know, and we don't have a plan for the future. So you can tell me, you can ask me, Kai, if I know the functions of the VP. But you know what you're not going to be able to tell me? That there was no sea level rise when Joe Buckeye was vice president.
But tell me,
so what I want to see from Joe Buckeye, with all of these problems that were going on in Liberia, right? With all of these, not just the immediate problems, with the problems that you knew we would face in the future, like sea level rise, like erosion. What plan did you put together for us to deal with it? You might say, okay, you know, I wasn't president, but did you have anything that said, you know, for the young people who are coming up, because let's say you were 6 years old when Buckeye became vice president.
Shit, you're too old right now.
Today, you would have been, so 2 terms plus 12, you would have been 18. You take another 6, that's 24. So at some point in your 24 years, how much erosion have you seen take away land? And how much have you said to the government, whether it was Joseph Buckeye or George Weah? What is your plan? Because let me tell you something. Y'all can sit down there, West Point, Nuclear Town, Soniwe, Town, they're all going to be gone in 25 years. There will be nothing there.
That's a fact, people. The erosion is going to be serious.
There will be nothing there.
Because there will be a lot of melting because of climate change in some of those frozen areas that will cause disruption in the oceans. The prediction.
Look, there was a place that I went to in 2007 in Virginia there, near the OAU. It was a beach bar. Nice little place. When I returned in 2011, it was gone. Eroded. So you people, you know, you can sit here and say, oh, you're stupid, you don't know all of the. Guess what? The government that you choose represents an existential threat to the country and its survival.
George,
not just
many people don't know what is existential, so maybe we need to break that.
Existential means it represents a threat to the existence of the country.
Your survival is at risk.
Okay? It's not just in the corruption and what the corruption doesn't allow you to do. It's also in not being able to make plans for the physical changes
There is
that are going on in the world.
There is absolutely no planning going on.
Okay.
Not even a global awareness of what's going on in other places, and to anticipate some of those things. We had some opportunities with Ebola and with COVID. Unfortunately, again, there was no forward thinking around these epidemic and pandemic situations that happen. So until we can get a government that helps the people, really wants to help, really want to think about the key issues, Liberia is going nowhere.
I mean, the guy who's who was the managing director at Robertsfield said something. I think that they spend like $37,000 every 5 days.
Yes, I wrote something on that too.
Right, in fuel for the airport.
Right.
So about 3 weeks ago, we talked about the need for solar. Okay? Where is the plan? Because the airport situation is getting worse.
There's no planning.
Okay? When Air France turned off their service, oh no, man, they ain't got the traffic. Next, Brussels will turn off their service.
And the fact is,
okay,
1 or 2 persons coming to Liberia, there's supposed to be some means for them to travel to Liberia.
Well, you would travel to Sierra Leone and drive.
That should be a service that goes.
How long is the drive from Monrovia to Sierra Leone?
I think 8 hours, maybe.
Then you just gotta take the 8 hours.
Just imagine.
Listen, until Liberians are sufficiently pained, no amount of talking we do is going to change what happens in Liberia.
I'm starting to take that position. I agree. You can't convince people that their life is bad if they don't believe their life is bad.
If they don't believe their life is bad, or if they believe that they must defend that their life is not bad.
And that's the stupid thing. Don't they want something for their children? Don't they want a future? Don't they want an opportunity? Look at all the graduations that are happening around here with some of these young people here who could have impact if we had a very decent, some of these children gap year. They could go to Liberia to spend their gap year.
Yes, they could.
And seriously, just that integration, getting to know their homeland, other people getting to know them, sharing experiences, lecturing about what we have been doing. They were not in Liberia, XYZ. It expands the minds of our young people. What can we understand? You think, I want my daughter to go to Seoul, Korea to do her study abroad program? No.
Yes, you do. Let me tell you. Isaac, my daughter, she reads, she writes, and she speaks Mandarin.
Damn.
Okay?
She in demand.
She reads and writes and speaks Mandarin. I had entertained the idea that she would either go to do because she went to Taiwan Normal University for immersion. I had even entertained the idea that she could go to the Liberian embassy in China for 3 months,
right?
Just to work there, translator or whatever. But then I thought about it. I'm like, these people are useless.
But that's all the opportunity that we're losing.
Or she could have come to Liberia and worked at the foreign ministry just as a translator.
Yes.
Okay. When the Chinese come and put a contract document before you, you have somebody there who can read, write, and speak it, and they can tell you this is what this means. Somebody sent me a picture of the sign that was on one of the walls of the Capitol building.
Oh, the Chinese sign?
Yes. I had to call her. I said, tell me what this thing says.
And that's another thing that our people
okay.
and the Chinese are extremely aggressive and they are in takeover mode. So every step you give them a Chinese culture for you, they are exploiting you without any remorse when it comes to whether your people benefit, whether
tell Mr. Swakoli Jr. to come on and explain to him what he believes the government should explain to me what he believes the government should do.
Joe Swakoli, I will send you the link so you can come on, because this is an open discussion. We really want people who want the best for Liberia. So if you're willing to come on, I can send you the link for you to participate, because we believe this is for all Liberians. It's just not for George. It's just not for me. It's just not for the few people who listen to us, because we share this to 2,000-3,000 people after the fact. So if you want to come on, what kind of government do you want? Because if the people don't understand what they want, I don't care what we do or say, that needs will not be met. Because we'll be trying to do something different from what they want. So this platform is for all Liberians. It's not just.
Oh, let me see if she sent it to me.
Yeah, it's asking for the inscription.
Yeah.
They're cussing also.
Huh?
maybe the challenge for cussing us and we even know.
Okay, hold on. I'll tell you what she said.
Joshua Colley, are you willing to come on? Let me see if I can find you on Facebook. J-O-E Swakoli. J. Swakoli Jr. Okay, Joe. I'm sending you a message, yeah? So you can join also. I'm sending it right now. At the StreamYard link. Click on that link and come, let's have a conversation. Let's see what kind of government you want.
Okay. It says Jangdu Construction. Jaing, capital DU, construction.
So, yes.
That's what it says.
They're trying to show, But no, George, this is critical. Like this person says, most of Liberia are satisfied with their living conditions. This is why they come on Facebook to attack those that are fighting for a better Liberia.
So then that opens up a different problem.
I won't say most.
You know why they're satisfied?
They're not satisfied.
No, you know why? Let's assume that they're satisfied.
Okay.
You know why they're satisfied?
No.
Because they don't know any better.
But that's the exposure I was talking about earlier. That integration with some of these other young people. And the sad thing is, some of them do watch other activities on social media. They see wealthy people. They see people in school. They see other things. George, we didn't have that. Even though we have one or two people ahead of us who are visionary. And some of your parents and stuff went abroad to study. So they knew there was something out there that was better. But these kids have exposure. And they can watch volumes of anything in the world. Any one word you put into Google, you can have every aspect, like a 360-degree view of that word. So you will be able to do anything related to that word. If you say, I want to be singer, you put in singer, you find everything. You find things about voice. You find things about this, things about the greatest ever, people you can model your voice after. There's just so many opportunities for growth. So for people to be complacent with where they are, and not understand that there are some things better out there. Or even when you go to work, the bathroom not in your house to your house, in the bathroom to the work. But you're complacent to only charge your phone over there, to not wonder, can I charge my phone in my house? Or you can come home in the dark and gotta go look for somebody in your neighborhood who can charge your phone. So if people cannot wake up from knowing that they are lacking so much, it's nearly an impossible situation. And if you continue to be giving little money to come on Facebook and curse people who won't change, insult people, hey, it's up to you, because your insult don't affect most of these people. Most of the people are not affected by the insults that they get. If we can have a civil conversation about these things, you don't have to be convinced. But the fact is, there are other people out there that are thirsting. George, believe it or not, there are many young Liberians who do want a better life. When you talk to many of them today, they'll say they can walk from here to anywhere to leave Liberia if they had to get across the border.
I remember when we were talking about the gas prices.
Right.
That gas prices will go up. And one of the guys who supports the government, his response to me was, oh, well, when gas go up, You're the one who feel it first. And I said to him, Liberia produces nothing. You have to import all finished products. Okay? I went and I bought gas for my Jeep last week. No, not last week, yesterday. Okay? 20 gallons. Cost me $100. I didn't have to pay $100 in cash. You understand?
But
I put a credit card in the machine, and if I had to pay that $100 over 3 years, I would pay $2 a month.
Yep.
Okay, so the fact that the system in Liberia doesn't even support credit, and you're doing everything on a cash basis, it means that you can't weather these types of economic variations.
Oh, the shocks are huge. The economic exogenous shocks.
Because guess what? I can buy gas every week or every other week for a year, and by the time the prices of gas come down, I would have absorbed that shock. Okay, and so, but when you're paying cash for everything, then you have to make a decision as to whether you will eat or whether you will drive.
Or whether you take the bus or the pen set. I mean,
Mr. Swakoli, if you want to talk, come on and defend yourself. You got plenty Big Muff on Facebook. Get on the program and let's go at it.
Oh man, Swakoli would not. Okay, he said what? Let's see what Mr. Swakoli says here. First, Mr. Swakoli asks, which government do you guys want? Then he says, since some of you envision a better Liberia, why can you all rally around and start a process of helping the ordinary Liberian but needs state power and resources? You don't understand.
Hold on. Let me deal with him. Okay, Swakoli, this is what you don't understand. You don't even understand the rule of government.
No, he doesn't.
You don't. And because you don't understand and appreciate the rule of government, that's the only reason you would make a comment like that. So let me try to educate you. Okay? Here's how government is supposed to work. You entrust the people in government as fiduciaries for the people of Liberia.
Break down what
they collect the money.
Right.
They collect the taxes. They sign all the contracts, and they control the expenditure of the money for the government of Liberia.
Those are the people you trust.
Okay? And that's their job.
Yes.
Okay? To build schools, to use the resources of the company, of the country rather, to build schools, to build hospitals, to provide electricity, to provide sanitation. That is a government function. The fact that you don't understand that or you don't appreciate it, Liberians, I have said over and over, are the only people that I know who believe that private people need to take on the role of government so that the government can continue to do the nothing that it's doing.
But George, it's
because that's what you're asking us to do right now.
George,
you are saying the government doesn't work.
George, it's because of civics. Most of us do not understand responsible citizenship. Look, most of these young people, they went to school probably during Taylor time and during Ellen time with no civics in school. Nobody educating them about responsibilities of a citizen. Nobody educating them on conflict resolution. The only way most of them know to resolve conflict is to insult or to dominate.
So what process do you want us to start to help the ordinary Liberian? Let's take Monrovia, for example. Come on here and tell me what we should do to help the ordinary Liberian.
Right.
I will wait. But if you're not willing to do that, then you need to go sit down in the corner and be quiet.
Yes. They assume money is on tree. They don't understand.
No, but forget about it. Let him come and describe to me a single process that people should put together to help the ordinary Liberian. Mind you, in Monrovia alone, there are 1.7 million ordinary Liberians.
He has no answer for us. He has no answer beyond the government playing.
Okay. How many kids in Liberia are going to school from first grade to sixth grade right now? What is the school age population of those ordinary Liberians?
Oh, I can
And
find
do
out.
you believe that where the government is doing nothing about that, private people need to raise money to fund the school system for the next 10 years? Is that what you believe?
So let's say some people start school late. So I'll say the 5-year-old to the 14-year-old. That 1 million children, 1 million.
Okay.
For the
So let's say the cost for those children to go to school over a year. Let's just be as low as possible. $500 per student.
Are you serious, Judge? That $500 million.
Okay, let's say $200.
My man, let's say $10. That's $10 million. They can't even
So now, Joe,
tell us how we can get there.
tell us that you expect for ordinary life, for people to rally around and let's say put together a 10-year plan of private funding for primary education in Liberia, which even if we were only spending $10 a year per student, would cost $100 million. Me, I like to deal with numbers. So if you can't give me a number, then because y'all help people. No. It's not just helping you. It's not just helping you. Let's look at the totality because that's the reason we have government.
And most people don't understand the role of government. It's sad. They really.
So if we have 1 million kids who need to go to school, but you want me to tell you what the difference is? Look at what the government of Rwanda spends on primary education as a percentage of its GDP versus what the government of Liberia spends on its government as a percentage on its kids as a percentage of GDP, and then look at the trajectory of the two countries. And then understand that Rwanda is not asking private people to support its effort.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, the government of Rwanda helps the private sector to create greater churn in the economy for everything like that.
So you look at your country, you look at how far it's behind. You look at the other countries that have made progress, like Rwanda, like Ghana, like Kenya, and you look at what their governments are doing in terms of helping the ordinary Kenyan in education. And then you come to Liberia and you say, oh, you know what, in Liberia, you just let the government collect the money and then you can't help. When the people finish eating the money, you got ministers who are building mansions everywhere.
Forget about ministers. The procurement officers, the assistant minister, the stealing is just from the lowest level up. Anybody who touching money is basically stealing.
And then you're telling me I should rally around to give people money when the money. Listen, okay, you know what Liberia is like? This is what Liberia is like. Liberia is like you built a house, but you didn't put any windows or doors in the frame to fill out the frame to secure the house. So Swakoli comes and say, but how you can't put furniture in the house? So okay, fine. We come and we put furniture in the house, but there are no doors, there are no windows, there's nothing there. So when we come back next week, all that furniture is gone. And then you're telling me the same thing again the next day. It's not the responsibility of private people to perform the functions of government. And until you understand, what you want me to do? You want me to put together a group that will buy gas for the fuel for the airport?
Yes.
Is that what you want me to do?
I just offer a proposal. For $5 million, we can put 1 megawatt of energy at the airport that can provide.
But here's the problem. Here's the reason it won't happen.
Why?
Because as the fiduciaries of the country, the government has to provide the permitting. They are the only people that have the legal authority.
Oh, I agree with you.
To provide the permitting and the infrastructure to be built. So it's not, I can just show up at Roberts Field and say, hey, guess what? I got $5 million. I'm going to put solar over here. It doesn't happen that way.
No,
so Mr. Swakoli, I've been inviting you on this program now for the last 15 or 20 minutes. Okay? If you're not prepared to come and defend your position, then you need to be quiet and we'll move on to somebody else.
Look, somebody just sent me something. George, let me tell you. See, the guy say, why your man can bring investors and he played there. The article is about over 40 French companies to invest in Tanzania. 40 French companies to invest in Tanzania. Okay? And for somebody who play in France and not supposedly, it's a fact that Macron used to idolize George when he was a player. It's a fact. Okay? And supposedly the relationship was great. Even the little thing that they were supposed to do with regards to integrating sports and agriculture. We don't know what's happening with those simple programs. But
okay, so here's the
impactful.
Okay. When you, again, in order to get people to invest, you know what you got to be able to show them? You have to be able to provide them with data. I want to do ABC. What is the market for the thing that I'm investing in? What's going to be my probable return? And what is my risk of loss?
Oh, man.
Okay? And I have to quantify all those things. So the fact that somebody who likes Mr. Weir is not even willing to take the risk of sending companies to invest in Liberia should tell you that they don't have the confidence that Weir will do what he's supposed to do, or the country is even ripe for investments.
Wow. And look at this. You know, I gotta share it just so people can see the thing. I mean, this is real job creation investment, not just extraction investment. It is job creation investment. And that's the kind of things, you know, we need in Liberia. People who will set up a production base in our country, not just an exploitation, enterprise. And so it says, yeah, George. Yeah, right. Yeah, the title. Over 40 French companies to invest in Tanzania, right? And it says some 40 French companies plan to develop their production base in Tanzania with a view to improving the balance of trade between the two countries, the government said yesterday. The companies deal in energy, construction, aviation, infrastructure system, finance, tourism, health, agro-food, to water treatment, to mention but a few. So the people are looking at the entire economic spectrum and they are trying to do value addition in Tanzania. That is significant. So until we can get those kind of partners, or either demand it from those who are just...
No, you're not going to get those partners.
The environment,
You're talking about investments. These people are not coming to give Tanzania this money for free. They expect something in return. And in return, but before they even make the investment, they expect them to have the infrastructure.
Or they will help build it from some of this.
The protection of private property.
That is key.
They expect all of those things. And if those things can't happen, you can't expect people to invest in your country.
My man, the people balance of trade right here, 17.7 million to 63.4. So they got a trade deficit with France of nearly 46.3 billion million. And with our balance of trade is worse.
But Isaac, think about this, right?
I don't know whether the center...
As the U.S., think about this, okay? Just let's look at a little bit of the global picture. You know, this whole war with Russia.
Well, George, this is serious. The central bank website is not up yet.
But my man, let's move on, man.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
I think I will come back again and get upset because you say, let's forget what I say, oh yeah, let's forget he cost you. So maybe he can be costing for central bank.
Okay, so, you know, but here's my thing, right?
Right.
You look at all of this upheaval in Europe, I mean, with the war with Russia.
Right.
The U.S. is very concerned from a geopolitical standpoint that all of their manufacturing is in China.
Yes, they're returning home. They're returning home.
Okay? And guess what they're going to look for? They are going to look automatically to retrench that manufacturing outside of the U.S. because the cost will be lower. Okay, I don't care what you say. Americans don't want to pay $3,000 for an iPhone.
No, they
They
don't.
don't. Okay? So you know who will be primed to take advantage of that? It will be the Ghanaians,
Yes.
where they're manufacturing cars. It will be the Rwandans, where they're manufacturing cars. Because once you start to build that manufacturing infrastructure, it's easier for it to spread out.
Yes, you build a whole new mindset. It's easier to get more people. And that's what Tanzania is doing.
Exactly.
In alignment, so they are providing education today now that make these people ready to start a business.
So you're not going to be able to do this in Liberia. This is not something that Liberians can rally around and make happen. This is about government. You have a Bureau of, you have a National Investment Commission. You have a Bureau of Labor Statistics. You have all of those things that need to work together to say, what can we do to make Liberia attractive in the next 5 years for people who want to repatriate construction here? Well, I will tell you one of the things. One of the things that happened, and people want to know why Ghana is so far ahead. You people don't understand that Kwame Nkrumah literally mortgaged his presidency.
Good man.
To build the Akosombo Dam. That was the signature. Developed, they took a loan, and the Ghanaians were tremendously upset. But one of the things Nkrumah said, he said, if you are going to be an industrialized nation, you need abundant, clean power.
Yep.
And if you don't have that, you can't industrialize.
I hope one day we can call Lawrence Jones. I know you know Dr. Jones, right?
I know Lawrence.
All right.
So here's the thing now we're talking about.
Years ago about that dam, he said, Ava, that's a waste of money. And
Yes.
he advised Ellen them about that dam.
Okay. So now we're sitting here and we're exporting timber. We don't have a sawmill that can produce enough timber to construct what we need to construct. Listen, one of the things I've said is that, I consider myself a futurist. Okay? I'd like to take a look at where things are going and how we can prepare ourselves to get there.
Right.
So one of the things we have in Africa that we have a shortage of is housing.
Big time.
There is no way it is possible, given the effects of climate change, that we can continue to construct homes in Liberia with concrete and be able to meet the housing demands of the country. Because if you look at how much sand has to be dug up to make cement blocks, if you need to build housing for 1 million people, you can't build it with concrete.
No, you can't.
Okay?
You gotta make the block, and you gotta make the cement to plaster the block, to lay the block. All of that.
You can't.
You gotta find alternative means of construction.
So we have to go to wood frame construction. Wood is replaceable. You can't replace sand.
They will cry and say, "Bobo, eat it," but you got to treat the wood. That's treatment.
You got to treat the wood. The weather in Liberia is no different from the weather in New Orleans. It's no different from the weather at the southern tip of Florida. You treat the wood, but there's another problem. There's a problem of security. Because it's easy to bust into a wood frame house if you're willing to use enough force.
But why? The cement house ain't got a door?
No. But what I'm saying is you can put a steel door in front of your cement house. Okay? With a wood frame house, Isaac, I can bring a jackhammer. I can bring a hammer, a sledgehammer, and just bust into the house. Okay, I can do that. And so there's a problem of security, but either way, let's say we can solve the security challenge. If we don't invest in a different method of construction, we will never be able to produce the amount of housing to support what we need. So if we look at places like West Point, like Vytown, like Soniwam, one of the things I've said is some of the best real estate in Liberia is slum.
Yes. No, fact.
Okay?
That's a fact.
Let's say you wanted to do something. You wanted to build something. You wanted to build hotels, resorts. Yeah, you can build it on the Farmington River. Okay? But if you can build it in West Point, if you can build it in Vytown, if you can build it in Slipway, right off the main river, you can have boating, you can have recreation. So the question is, right now, even the money that is being pumped into the road fund, they are stealing it. If somebody came and said, we want to build 5 hotels here in the next 10 years, what are we going to do to provide housing for those people who are going to be replaced, who are going to be displaced? What are we going to do that? Okay, because there's no way we can build enough houses to accommodate 1 million people if we're building it with cement, period. We can't do it. So, you know, when I sit and think as a futurist, I'm saying, what are all the things we need to do? We need lumber for internal construction. We need to be able to produce 2x4s in mass. Okay? We need to be able to produce the drywall.
And you see, it's not just about only for us though, but there are opportunities for us to produce some of those things for export and then start to use them as core inputs into anything we want to do. Like you're saying, it's about thinking on the future. It's about looking out there. What country needs something that we can do, that we can specialize in? That's how economies try to grow. What need can you supply right at this moment to be able to build your economy? Those kind of examinations are not going on from the people who control and plan for our economy. It's just sad. It's just really, look, take for example this other post that I want to share right now from somebody, right? And hopefully after that we can try to close up. But yes, what he's saying. President Weah, the airline industry is struggling and unattractive. And you saw that picture with the cake and the Air Liberia and other thing, and they got right where we are flying on airplane.
Yes.
Not an industry for a poor country to invest its meager resources. Our national budget is under 800 million, he meant not 1,000. And we struggle to raise that budget. The budget shuffle all the time. We lose more money from investing in and running an airline, but we make more from investing in agriculture. Again, prioritization.
Yes.
And using your comparative advantage where there's least resistance to you being able to be in the green. And instead of the airline serving as a source of income, it will be a burden on the already tiny budget.
Because you have to pay for gate fees. You have to pay for landing rights.
No, but you got to but they don't understand that you got to go to other people's airport too, and you got to pay that.
Nobody is going to, you know, one of the reasons why there are not direct flights between Liberia and the United States?
What is that?
Because you don't have the security apparatus. Wow. You don't.
But don't they send some kind of test crew to validate? I think they did it for the port.
And you don't, and they don't have in it, and the Liberian airport has never met the standard.
Really?
No, they've never met the security standard to allow direct flights from Monrovia to any American airport.
How long has this been?
Didn't they just the other day cancel a contract that they wanted to give to some Arabs to handle baggage at RIA? Right.
Wow.
Okay. So now you're gonna but guess what? Ethiopian Airways can. Kenyan Airways can do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Kenyan
They
Airways
can do it
around the world, and their service is decent.
but they are willing to make the necessary security enhancements.
Jordan,
You people can't even be trusted to have electricity at your airport.
look, George, stop cracking me up. I think we had a pretty good run. We made up for the 30 minutes or so that we were working on trying to do my sound. I don't know where it's at. I will try to check it out. Maybe we can team view later on. But again, I want to say it was an interesting.
We have to get back to the basics. The old people used to say, baby got to crawl before he walk. We can't keep hoping that we are going to run into the future if we don't have a foundation.
And you see that crawl before we walk, we don't have to do all the things and reinvent the wheel. There are some wheels already in place. But like we keep saying, if we don't do those basic things, identification, be clear on land ownership, just some strategic road implementation and repair, like an open economic corridors, identifying the right kind of, agricultural products we need to target to go. Like I said before, maybe some people have said, maybe we don't even need to grow rice. We get rice cheaper from the Philippines or Taiwan.
Isaac, we can grow rice. And we have plenty land.
No, we can.
We need to put in place a very simple supply chain. The people who grow the rice cannot be the people who process the rice cannot be the people who distribute the rice. And right. if you guys don't understand what I'm talking about, let's take a little family on the road, on the Roberts Fee Highway that grows cassava on their farm. Every time you drive by and you see them with their little stall trying to sell you cassava, okay, it represents a broken system.
Yes.
It represents a broken system. Why? Because that person now has to grow the cassava. They got to dig the cassava. Then they got to keep their child out of school to sit on the side of the road. And hopefully in a week, they can sell all this cassava. That's not how you get efficiency.
And trust me, cassava is needed in so many places in the world because it has a multiple use.
So because we don't have that a value chain, in terms of production, that's why we can't do it. Philippines don't get more rain than Liberia.
No, it was not about a rain issue and stuff like that.
Okay, so you know how far Philippines is from Liberia?
Huh?
You know how far Philippines is from Liberia? Or Indonesia or anywhere for us to import rice? How can we continue? We cannot be a country that continues to import everything, even the basic food that we eat.
George, we can get food security on the ground. I'm just saying. Again, we even got to work on changing our palate. Are we stuck on the rice? Are there other things? Whether they're planting, whether they're Edo, whether they're
Kenyan, but you see all of these people who are here on this thing and who are talking about, you stupid and all of that. Mr. Swakoli, you from Bon County. Okay? Take your phone. Go to Bon County and let's start making a rice farm. Because guess what? The farmers in Kenya, they do that. And they pay them for their product on their phone.
Because they also have a payment system.
Okay? Correct.
They also have, probably more advanced in terms of the extension support that they provide to farmers. So people don't understand the role of government. Government should create that environment, and it's just not there. We can only be hopeful. So George, if you want to close,
I'm closed, man. That's anybody people.
Otherwise, I just want to say thank you to all those folks who listened today. we'll keep pushing these discussions because we believe they make an impact. At any time, any one of you who listen or you know anybody who is a subject matter expert, they can come on here and have some of these discussions with us and share the knowledge. We ourselves will start to bring people, but we want to give our audience an opportunity to be the first ones to be able to, come on and talk directly to us some of the issues. I believe on Friday for the weekend review, I will be bringing on one lady to talk about her nonprofit too. A lot of people are doing good things, but if we can scale some of these things up, or we can bring people together to do more, that request from Swakoli or whoever the other person, I'll answer the other last question. He posed a question here. We'll not be able to do these things if we can't do them to scale that they can benefit more people. If more people cannot try to work together rather than working in silos.
All right, Swakoli wants to know if I have a farm in Liberia. Let me explain something to you, Swakoli. You see the place I'm living? I don't need a farm. Okay? The place you living, you're the one that need a farm. Okay? So the fact that you don't even have a concept of your own situation, that you would ask me if I have a farm in Liberia, what good is a farm in Liberia going to do for me? Tell me.
No, they try to put that burden that if you criticize something, that means you must be the only one to provide it.
Listen, if you make a farm in Liberia, it will feed you. If you don't make a farm in Liberia, it will not feed you. If you make a farm in Liberia, I will get nothing from it. If you don't make a farm in Liberia, I will get nothing from it. Okay? At some point, you Liberians have to take ownership of your problems. So if me suggesting that agriculture is one of the ways to help your problem, and your response is, where your farm in Liberia? Let me go jump in my swimming pool, man.
But let me try to talk to him, because I do have a farm in Liberia. Okay? And I'm not at liberty to disclose it. Right now, we're putting solar on our farm. Okay? So you see us, Sustainable Development International, that's what we believe in, sustainable development. And you can see all the different aspects, whether it's water, whether it's energy, whether it's food, they're all parts of sustainable development. And until we can move to that mindset of sustainability for anything we do, and rather than try to find excuses, actually do the things ourselves, we're not going anywhere. So, Joe, your role is to just ask people who outside what they're doing. You should ask yourself, what am I doing to make Liberia a better Liberia? Every Liberian needs to do that. And it's not restricted to only the people outside who want. Look, a few years ago, I was at a funeral, Joe. And there was a lot of elder Liberians. And I'm in that age group of elder Liberians, along with some who are 70 years old and others. Many of them want to be in Liberia. You know what the primary issue is? Healthcare. And George, somebody was telling me in our show last week when we were talking about the impact of the diaspora, the amount of jobs that can be created, the amount of retirement money that can come in, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And they basically said they were at a funeral, Royal Dempster funeral, and were reiterating all of those things. And people are buying into those things. At some point, maybe it's just about, and this is another plan I had, build a hospital that can provide services to elderly people and have geriatric practitioners that can do some things. And now
let's do it better. Okay? How about we staff the hospital that we have right now?
That's another option we talked about.
So before we go to build,
George, before you go on, wasn't Hart supposed to be doing stuff like that? You remember?
Yeah, but you know, we don't need to get into that. Before you go to build, how about you set up a program to recruit the necessary expertise to come in on a monthly basis, on a rotating basis, to provide services for you. Okay.
But man, we will have a whole nother show with the other question Joe Swakoli now asked. When they got
what?
Eh?
Okay, he said he doesn't need a farm. Then good for you.
Yeah, enjoy yourself,
So
Joe.
Joe,
But then why?
we're not in disagreement. You
Why
don't
you?
need a farm, but why do you want me to help you do something? You still you say you don't need the thing I'm saying that maybe you need. You say, what am I doing to help the ordinary Liberian? You know what I'm doing, Joe? I'm sharing knowledge with them.
Knowledge
Okay,
that you pay for otherwise. When the word then,
but if that's not good enough for you, I'm not sure if you want me to send $20 because that ain't gonna happen. Because it looks like that's where you're trying to get to.
this
How
man,
much money are you sending to Liberia? That's
how,
not how it works.
and that's why we talk about sustainability, Joe. How can you as an individual be sustainable? That's why when you come on this show and tell us what you do, how you are sustaining yourself, not how you become a troll on social media to carry the message of some kind of big shot. No, that's not what this is about. So the simple program here, there are many retired doctors here. There are many Liberian doctors here who take vacation. You can get one medical record system that can allow continuity of service to people that when Dr. A comes and update an individual chart.
But that can allow people, for example, if you do a MRI, if you do a cardiac study, to allow cardiologists here to read it.
Yes.
Okay, they don't have to physically be there.
No.
You can build that infrastructure.
The world has moved on.
Okay, so let me tell you, Joe, what I have to share with the ordinary Liberian. I have a tremendous amount of knowledge. Okay, I have expertise in software development. I have expertise in healthcare management. I have expertise in healthcare implementation. Okay, so if that knowledge that I have to share is not good enough for you, because this thing you keep asking for, it looks like it's about money.
Yes.
All right. And because we have not availed ourselves of the expertise of the people in the diaspora in a meaningful way, that's why we are stuck.
Yes.
Because I had somebody say to me that one of the reasons that the people in the government would not take my advice is because I'm anti-WEA. You know what? You, WEA, all of y'all can jump in the ocean. Okay? And y'all can keep flying your plane that running out of gas.
Or the plane are on a kick. No.
You know?
Gosh.
I mean, you guys don't seem to understand.
They don't. It was a good show.
Do you even know what the meaning of the word sentimental is?
No, he think we're being sentimental, we're being real. He the one being sentimental, bringing emotional questions here. What are you doing for me? What are you doing for me? What are you doing for Liberia?
You got farm in Liberia? I don't need a farm in Liberia. I don't. Okay? My electricity never goes off. Ever. My internet never goes off. Ever. My water never goes off. Ever. Never goes off. Okay? So when you sit there and tell me, what am I doing for Liberia? I'm trying to provide information and knowledge so that you can take ownership of your problems and try to figure out how to solve them. But if you want me to come from America to solve your problem in Liberia, you will stay inside a long time. That's my closing. But anyway, Isaac, Melvin said he wants to talk with us after the show. So
okay,
reach out to Melvin.
Okay.
All right, I'm out of here.
I was about to share with George, not with George, with my picking Swakoli, some images on our farm. And I know some of my people then will be first with me because they want to keep it private. I mean, it's just sad, man, George, that I know George is gone. But Swakoli, Joe, you all have to wake up. I just hope that I can engage you directly, because you do look like you have some idea and you want something different. It's just that you are being defensive. So, it's about how can I get to you for your mindset. because I can show you the amount of crops that will grow in significant amount. And we're using technology. We got drip irrigation on that farm and everything like that. We got solar energy on the farm, Joe. So it's just about, there's just so much that we can do. It's about the government relaxing and letting the creative people with ideas be able to implement them, be supportive to a certain extent. Nobody say anything should be free. Just facilitate the environment and give them the opportunity. And trust me, Liberia will be better. We have that capability. We have the people among us. You know, so I would download a video and show it to you, Josh. I mean, Joe. I keep calling you Josh. Let me open it. Because sometimes seeing is believing. So, Joe, again, Joe, you keep crying about people helping ordinary Liberians. I mean, what does that mean? We gave the opportunity to come and explain. What does helping ordinary Liberians mean? And you don't even have the strength to come on to say, yes, let me explain what it is. To send money to Liberia? No, we can stop criticizing. This country is all of our country. And again, I can show you my, what they call it, my send wave. And you'll see how much money I send. I got students on scholarship too. Right now in my inbox, I got several students asking for me to pay for them to go take the early entrance. So yes, we help the ordinary Liberians, but that is not the solution until the ordinary Liberian can help him or herself. That's what is going to happen. Okay, so you see here, this is just a video of the farm we're doing in Liberia. Okay, you see the crops that's sprouting out from that black fabric. That black fabric is to kill the weeds, to ensure you don't have to fight with weeds. You see the crops growing. You see the irrigation stuff that going along there, and there's drip irrigation to each plant over there. You see the amount of food that planted. We Liberians can do this. We really can. We have the capability. We have the knowledge. We have the manpower. We got the sunlight. We got the land, that George said. There's no reason why we can be food secure in Liberia and providing other places in the world with food. With the knowledge that we have among Liberians, the land that we have, the potential, if we actually want to work together in terms of work with the people in the diaspora to raise capital, to support all these kind of projects, it's all doable. It's all very doable. But it takes facilitation for government. It takes support. It takes commitment. What is your commitment? You keep asking people, what are they doing for ordinary Liberians? The question is, what are ordinary Liberians doing for themselves? So anytime you're welcome to come for us to have this public discussion, let people hear you. Let people hear your reasoning. You know, that way they will not be like, oh, or you will not be saying we're criticizing you. You can make your case to the people. We will make a case, and let's see who makes sense. Okay? So keep crying. No, I don't want you to keep crying. Stop crying about what has somebody done for ordinary Liberians. The question is, what do ordinary Liberians want for themselves, and what are they doing to achieve their desires? That's key. So folks, I want to say thank you for watching. We hope all is well, and we look forward to engaging next week on this show. But also next week, no, actually on Friday, we'll be coming at you with The Wire, and that's when we'll touch on the week in review exclusive with all these different topics that are happening this week. There's a lot of stuff. We touched on some of them here on this show, but there's a lot of other stuff that's happening in the country that we haven't touched on that we'll be touching on this week. So I look forward to talking to you on Friday. Take care. Have a wonderful evening. Peace.